presentation is by Sami DiDomenico. Okay, perfect. Complications of Brexit, the Troubles, and Northern Ireland's Identity Politics. Take it away.
All right, good morning, everybody. I am honored and excited to talk to you guys, as our lovely moderator said, about the implications of the Brexit decision from 2016 on the Republic of Ireland, on the Northern Ireland, and their contentious historical identity politics. I'm taking a historic approach at looking at the development of these identity politics in order to explain the chaos that Northern Ireland sees today. Is the Brexit decision the linchpin for unification with the Republic of Ireland? Are we going to see maintenance of the status quo with the UK? Are we going to see regression back into the Troubles? This is the Northern Ireland problem. So I'll begin by jumping into a very, very complex geopolitical history in 1921 with the Government of Ireland Act. This was an act by the UK Parliament in which British Protestant colonists established the state of Northern Ireland just up there, defined by that red border. They just put it right across the island of Ireland. This created what would become the Republic of Ireland and then Northern Ireland with the rest of the UK. Now, they created Northern Ireland with an intentionally small Catholic minority, about 1/3 Catholic, 2/3 Protestant, and this was intentional to allow Protestants to dominate Northern Ireland's political system and safeguard its position in the Union with the rest of England, Scotland, and Wales. This essentially was the first border problem faced by the island of Ireland and was a huge factor in accelerating the development of these contentious identity politics that we see as a continuing trend throughout Northern Ireland's history. So the peak of the violence during these community conflicts is known as the Troubles. It broke out in the 1960s when Catholic civil rights protests escalated into paramilitary terrorism. The first day, known as Bloody Sunday, some of you may have heard of it, the conflict would go on to last nearly 3 decades and cast a dark shadow over Northern Ireland, as well as the whole island of Ireland. And as I said, it lasted for 3 decades between Protestant unionist and Catholic nationalist communities, because they have these fundamental opposing goals, where wins for one side is necessarily losses for the other. So as I said, these are the actors. On the left over here, we have Catholic nationalists who broadly want reunification for Northern Ireland with the rest of the Republic of Ireland. Their associated political party is Sinn Féin, and their paramilitary group is the IRA, or the Irish Republican Army. On the Protestant side, Protestants are unionists, so they want the UK to be maintained as it is today. Their political party is the Democratic Unionist Party, and their paramilitary group is the Ulster Unionist Force, Volunteer Force. And during this specific period, the 60s to the 90s in Northern Ireland, the paramilitary violence and the political parties were essentially inseparable, which led to Sinn Féin's designation as a terrorist organization. Some other paramilitary groups were as well, but this is the one that's of note for this presentation. So the decades of this violence, which despite only leaving around 3,500 dead and some 40,000 more injured, although there are a number of just disappearances that were never solved. So there's a big sense of kind of unresolved justice in Northern Ireland. And just kind of keep that theme in mind. The unresolved justice, the border problems, and the conflict between these ethno-nationalist communities. So it was all delicately balanced by the Good Friday Agreement of 1998, which brought peace to Northern Ireland, or relative peace, through power sharing between unionists and nationalist parties via the new Northern Ireland Assembly. It also instituted justice reform to address historic Catholic grievances, as well as victim reconciliation, cultural bridge building in order to alleviate the social divide, the huge, deep social cleavage between these two groups, just because religion and politics, those are identities that people hold very strongly, and you don't tend to choose those identities. However, the two most critical for my presentation are the paramilitary disarmament, which was mostly successful, And then the removal of border checkpoints and security of that border we talked about before along the island of Ireland. This was supposed to kind of ease the tensions where the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland made a deal to kind of just ignore the border and allow for freedom of movement of everybody across. So the Belfast Good Friday Agreement was successful in maintaining peace for Northern Ireland so long as Northern Ireland with the UK and the Republic of Ireland maintained their position in the EU. All of this changed 18 years after this historic peace deal in 2016, when the UK posed the question to its voters, should we leave the European Union? Now, a majority of UK voters did agree that the UK should vote to leave. And so they did. This was in contradiction to the 56% of Northern Ireland that voted to remain. This makes sense. Remember that Northern Ireland is the only part of the UK that shares a land border with an EU member state. And that means that the Brexit decision requires a strong external border around the EU because that allows for the freedom of movement of people and trades within the EU. So we need a new border, a strong border. Where do we put it? We can't put it, again, on the island of Ireland, which you see here divided into yellow and blue to indicate the Brexit decision. We can't go there again because that would immediately rehash the violence of the Troubles. And this was something that, when it was going on, seemed unsolvable. So the fact that it was reduced and managed was huge. So the UK Parliament came up with the Northern Ireland Protocol. This placed the EU border on checks and on goods and people in the Irish Sea, in between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK, instead of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. This, as you can tell, probably didn't please Unionists that much, because Unionists want that little orange section to be as closely related, policy-wise, culturally, to the rest of the UK. So this caused Unionists to be infuriated in Northern Ireland. This photo, though it may look like it was from the Troubles era violence, is actually from 2021. This is Unionist protesters, riots, because they were throwing petrol bombs at police cars, fireworks. I mean, this is a pretty graphic photo that I think does a good job demonstrating their riots over this Irish Sea border, or the soft Brexit for Northern Ireland. As well, their corresponding political party, DUP, just ended a 2-year abstention from participating in government over the Northern Ireland Protocol. However, just last week, which really shows kind of the relevance and heat of this issue, the DUP and the Nationalist parties agreed to come back together in power sharing in Northern Ireland's government, just in order that the UK renegotiate the Northern Ireland Protocol. So we're gonna see a lot of change pretty soon coming up, depending on the outcomes of this. So Catholic nationalists today, the prospects are looking a little bit better. There was a historic Catholic majority in 2022. Recall the 2/3 Protestant majority that Northern Ireland was established on. So this majority should have been impossible. So this is historically extremely significant. And it's reflected in Sinn Féin, the Catholic Nationalist Party, their electoral success as the dominant party in Northern Ireland's assembly today. Also, let's take a look at public opinion data. This shows Northern Ireland's opinion on where they should stand in relation to the Union or the Republic of Ireland. As you can see, this line right here demarks the Brexit decision. Take a look at the teal line, which marks Irish unification. That line has been on a steep increase since the Brexit decision. So that shows that Northern Ireland is increasingly seeing reunification with the Republic of Ireland as a viable option for their future. However, due to all these factors I discussed, the unresolved tensions of the Troubles, the border complications from Brexit, and the historic demographic shifts in favor of what used to be a discriminated minority group, has coalesced into a series of unfortunate timing for Northern Ireland and has created a real environment for the potential change. So this is just the beginning, and there will be more to come for Northern Ireland. Thank you.